Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is I'm David Lewis. I'm the laser transfer specialist here at AW Papers. Also with us here, we've got Ryan from Sign Outlet. Appreciate you guys hosting this event for us and giving us the opportunity to talk about how laser transfers can really add a new dimension of financial benefit to your business. Ryan, can you hear us okay out there?
Yeah, David, I can hear you guys pretty well. Can
Hey.
everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Very
Hey, take
cool.
a moment if you would and tell us a little bit about you guys. What you're up to, what your store is, what your
Sure.
product line is, where you're located, the clientele that you work with. You know, just bring our visitors up to speed with
We're
what.
up to speed. Sure. Yeah, no, we're over here in Lyle, Illinois. The Sign Outlet Store is a servicing dealer of printers, cutters, laminators, all things related. We distribute all kinds of vinyl and inkjet media, along with consumables and printmaking accessories. We use our 20 years of print industry knowledge to get you guys what you need to fulfill the promises you make to your customers. In regards to Forever Paper products, we'll be distributing the Forever Laser Dark, the Laser Light, the Flex Soft, and the Foil products. We plan to offer a variety of quantities in the 8.5 by 11 sizes, the 11 by 17 sizes. That's going to be across all the various products as well. For this webinar, myself and Kevin will be monitoring the chat logs for any questions that may come up. We'll attempt to get to everybody's questions that are asked during the show. We'll also be combing through the chat logs at the end of the show to kind of bring up anything that we didn't address in a question and answer session. Lastly, for your convenience, we will be posting today's video on our Sign Outlet Store YouTube channel next week for everyone to reference back to. Pardon me. Thank you again, Holden and David from AW Specialty Papers for leading this event. We'll go ahead and throw it back to you, David.
Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate you guys having us for this. You know, also we really appreciate the viewers. You know, we know that your time is valuable, and we understand that. Incredibly grateful that you take this time to spend with us today, and I hope we can do a good job to make it worth it for you. So, what are we going to be talking about? All right. So, to start off with, we're gonna kind of work through the various kinds of printers that are out there, and you know, this is a laser toner transfer event. So we're going to start off with the no cut, no weed alternative to vinyl. This is typically thought about in terms of running this through a black toner type of printer. Then from there, we're going to sort of graduate into the CMYK printers and look at what you can do with just a standard CMYK color laser printer in the garment decorating industry. Then we're going to take that and we're going to put in some white toner and take a look at, you know, what we can do with the white toner option. So that's sort of how does that upgrade your CMYK printer to give you additional features and benefit. Then we're going to sort of get into, you know, how do these products really fit into the market? You know, what does this do to you in terms of business? You know, what are some of the things that are associated with the cost of this? And then, you know, what are your customers, what can they expect in terms of durability and wash fastness with these types of products? And then we're going to go into a Q&A session. You know, as Ryan indicated, these guys are going to be watching the chat window. You know, the nice thing I like about this particular webinar tool that we're using is that it's an open chat window. Everybody sees what everybody puts into the chat window. So kindly ask you to keep those associated, you know, with this particular webinar. We really look forward to answering your questions to the best that we possibly can. And so with that, let us get started with this. So what can you do with a black toner printer? And this is one of the things that, you know, that people have asked, you know, what printers do we need to use with these kinds of products? And, you know, the answer is, in general, most any laser printer. And there are a variety of them that are on the market. And you can start with something like the little Canon 6030 printer, which is simply a black only print, and then use that to create some really crazy capable designs. For example, let's take a look at this one. This is a shirt. Every color that's on this shirt was literally printed on a little Canon printer. The complexity, the detail, you know, all of these options are available to you in a no cut, no weed fashion. I mean, there's no way that you could do cutting and weeding on the complexity of some of these designs. But with this type of product, and this is the FlexOff product, you have this ability to really create a complex, intricate design using a very inexpensive, you know, black toner printer. Crazy, huh? So, you know, what is the business case for these kinds of products? And it's a kind of an easy one to explain. You know, let me show you this particular graphic. You know, a customer comes into your shop and he's got artwork that, you know, he wants to see put onto a garment, and he's ready to pay for that. But if you're not able to do his work, you're trying to convince him of something else. And, you know, nowadays it's just too easy to swipe left and move on to the next guy. If you are this next guy, the guy that can do this kind of work, you know, not only can you say to the customer, yeah, I can do that. Not only that, let's upgrade this. Let's put this in a fluorescent color. Let's put it onto one of these polyester sport fit types of garments. And you're really able to give the customer what they're looking for and to be able to upsell them. I mean, look at this. This is a nice polyester, you know, garment, and it's a beautiful design. Let's look at it up close. You know, this is using the FlexOff neon pink color. So if we shine this under a black light, and unfortunately, you know, under a camera, the black light, you know, doesn't light up anywhere nearly as strong as it does in real life. But here you can see, you know, with this FlexOff, we're talking about like a 5-micron toner with some color on it. It integrates in with the garment incredibly lightly. You've got incredible detail with this. You've got durability, and you have the ability to give your customers whatever they're looking for on their side, and on your side, you have the opportunity of being able to offer this in a very cost-effective fashion. You know, here's another example. This was done. You know, there we go. This was done when I had my beard. Christopher came in and spent some time with us to put this onto this cotton poly blend hoodie. And, you know, this has been through the wash. I mean, look at the detail. You know, let's take a look at actually how this was made. So he came in with a picture, really a bad picture, a terribly bad picture. And so this is using the free action script that you can download from blacktonertransfer.com. And you can load this action script into Photoshop, and you simply wipe out the background. You run this action script, and it will convert your image into a form that's ready to be printed. We simply open this up, and now we're ready to print this design. We're printing this to the little Canon 6030 printer, and this is what we get. So here's our print. Actually, this one was printed on the 831 printer, which is an 11 by 17 size, but we could print this on any black toner printer. And then now we're ready to apply this to the shirt. While Christopher was visiting with us, he went ahead and helped us put this on. So let's show what he did with it. So here he's taking that print, putting it together with the adhesive material. The B sheet of the Forever Flex Soft has the adhesive coating, and presses that for about 90 seconds. And this is a hot peel product. And the adhesive only sticks where the laser toner is in the design. This adhesive has a real high hardness to it, and that hardness is what gives it the ability to stick to these really small, fine detail type of work. So now he's applying it to the garment. We're pressing it again at about 30 seconds. And with this particular material, since it's totally opaque, we can press it even on these poly garments at any temperature that we want, because the metallic of the coating is going to block out any color that's underneath. That's where this material really comes in nice. And in all of our examples, you're going to see this rolling off of the design. This is a real critical part, because you've got really super fine detail, small dots, fine lines, things like that. And you want to shear it away from the print sheet to get the best results. In doing that with the Flex Soft, there'll be a little bit of excess edges that will flake off of the material. You just simply use a piece of masking tape or transfer tape, and you're able to then remove those easily. They would come off in the first wash as well, but this just gives you a nice clean result right out of your first pressing. This goes back into the heat press, where it gets pressed again for about another 20 to 30 seconds at high pressure, and that's going to really press the design down into the garment to give incredible durability and a long-lasting result. Very nice. So this is what you can do with a black toner printer. What about a color laser printer? Well, Forever also is available in this laser dark media. The laser dark product can be used with a variety of color laser printers to print full color designs. It comes in a number of different sizes. Here we have the 8.5 by 11. This size is the 8.5 by 17. This is the 11 by 17. And then this larger size in the back is the 11.8 by 19 sheet size. So you've got a variety of sizes that you can work with. So when it comes to printing onto garments with a CMYK printer, what are your capabilities? What are your limitations? Well, let's look at this first example. So this is a design of skulls that is in full solid color. And we simply open this up, and we're printing to our printer in CMYK mode. So we've got cyan, magenta, yellow, and black toner installed in the printer. And we're printing the design onto the laser dark. This is the 8.5 by 11 sheet size. And then we're simply following the standard instructions. 300 degrees is our temperature. We put the A sheet, the printed sheet, down first with the toner side up. We cover that with the adhesive sheet, which is the print side up, so that the the adhesive layer is on the bottom. We're pressing this at about a medium pressure for about 90 seconds. And then at the end, we do a hot peel. We want to grab the corners. We want to keep it flat on the heat press so that it stays hot. We want to carefully peel away that B sheet, anticipating the end so that we kind of ease off and let that drop away easily so that we don't pull any of the toner away from the sheet to give us a good solid coating of the adhesive behind the color. The adhesive is a bright white. Toner itself is translucent. So the whiteness of that adhesive is going to give us the support that we need for the color when we put it onto a colored or dark garment. We put our garment in, usually like to press it for a moment to remove wrinkles and moisture, position the transparent sheet, which makes it, of course, easy to put into position. And then we're pressing that at high pressure for about 30 seconds. That will reactivate that adhesive. It presses it down into the garment, where it will then bond with the shirt. Now we want to let it cool down. You know, in this case here, I've got a metal table that I'm putting it onto. I've got a piece of aluminum guardrail. This is something I picked up at a junk shop, just to pull that heat, just as a heat eraser to pull that heat out. And then if you look closely, you'll see how I use the palm of my hand to really shear the transparency away from the toner. Because, you know, again, this transparency material is high density, and it doesn't really let the toner go deep into the shirt. So I want to press it down and tightly shear it away so that all of this really fine detail gets transferred over to the shirt and nothing gets pulled away onto that transparency material that we were printing on. Then once we've done that, we put it back into the heat press, cover it with a piece of parchment because it comes out with a really shiny, glossy finish. So we want to press it again for about 30 seconds for two reasons. One, you know, is we want to give it a matte finish, unless we use a glossy sheet to give it keep the glossy finish. But the main thing is that we want to press it down deep into the shirt fibers so that we can get the durability that we're looking for. So here's this shirt. And I mean, you know, you're looking at, you know, really fine detail. We put this onto a gray because, you know, we've got black outlines, we've got, you know, the black teeth and things like that. So we wanted this to show up all of this detail on this gray, but even on a black material, these colors are going to pop out very nicely because they have that white adhesive behind it. So let's look at another example. This is one that Forever prepared for us. I like this particular piece of art because you know, it shows a wide range of solid colors. It also has some interesting, really fine detailed text that I'll show to you in a moment. Again, we're printing this to a CMYK printer. So we're printing it as a mirror image onto the transparency material in CMYK mode. So a standard, you know, color laser printer is what we're talking about here. And a lot of people have a misconception about this material. They think that, you know, this only works with white toner printers, but that's really not the case. There's actually quite a lot that you can do with these CMYK printers. And what we want to do here is to sort of give you the information so that you can understand, you know, what those capabilities and limitations are. So again, the same process, we're pressing this with this adhesive, and we are applying the adhesive to the design with this hot peel. And, you know, we've given ourselves some room in this design so that we can grab the edges, we get those corners, we peel that away in a steady motion, easy at the end, so that we don't release that toner off of that sheet by jerking it with, you know, with pulling too hard at the end. But look at this fine detail. Look at the characters that are inside of those little O's. Really tiny characters that are just kind of hidden inside of the design. And then again, we're pressing this onto the shirt. We want to use good, firm, heavy pressure to apply this to the garment. In this case, we're applying this to black so that we can show how these CMYK colors will stand up and show up very nicely on a black garment. Then this comes out over onto our cooling table. We want to pull the heat out of it because we really want it to be cold, because, you know, we've got really fine details. So we want to cool this down, take all of the heat out, and then again, tight roll. You know, roll it away, because, you know, like I said, you know, this media is heavy density that holds the heat. That's what makes it work so easy and consistently when you're doing the hot peel. So you just have to realize that I need to shear this away from my design. If I'm just pulling upwards on this, it's quite likely to pull some of that fine detail away from the garment on the sheet. All is not lost if that happens. I can just simply cut that piece out, put it back down in the finishing press. But here you can see this super fine detail to apply this to the, you know, in this design on the garment. Goes back in. That final press is what gives the results. And you've got really nice color. And again, this is CMYK design on a dark garment using the standard Forever Laser Dark A and B. And so here we go. So, you know, this means that we have a lot of design types that we can work with. You know, the key to it is, if you're working with a CMYK printer, you want to make sure that your design has solid colors in it and not tints, because tints are where you're going to sort of get into some problems. Let me show you what I'm talking about so that you can really clearly understand. You know, this is a design that we're showing so that you can understand sort of what happens when we have these tints. You know, this is a design that's got blends in it. It has tints of color. And so we want to kind of get an idea of where we would have problems with a CMYK printer based on the kind of artwork that we're using. So we'll start to see this, you know, as we do this peel. For example, right here into this bird, you can see that we don't have adequate toner. If you look right up here, we've got adequate adhesive. And again, over here, there's some adhesive that's missing. This one here has adhesive that's missing in it. So these are areas where we can expect to have difficulties in this final production piece. And there'll be a couple of different ways that that difficulty is going to manifest itself on the actual garment. So we've got We have colors that simply don't have any adhesive. We have colors that have maybe just a tiny bit of adhesive. And so we'll see what that does in the final result. So we cool this off completely. Again, incredibly important to get all of the heat out so that you've got the best possible peel. Again, we want to do this tight roll. So we're rolling this off with just as tightly a roll as we can so that we shear this sheet away from the design that's on the page. Then you'll start to see, you know, some of these areas where there's pieces missing. Inside of that bird is a really inadequate amount of adhesive that has been applied to it. So this, yeah, well, here you can clearly see things are just missing. So, I mean, we have a damaged design, pieces are missing. This, you know, you'll notice in these two parts, there's the toner is on the shirt, but there's not enough adhesive behind it. And so what's going to happen as a result of that is that when this goes into the wash, that portion that doesn't have the adhesive behind it isn't going to stay on the garment. So it'll wash away. So what does that tell us? That tells us that, you know, that we can't use these tints, we can't use these gradients, but how do we know, you know, what can or what can't be used? Well, what we did for that is that we created another piece of art to really sort of identify where that comes into play. And let's run that now and show you what we're talking about. So in this piece here, we've created a step chart. And this step chart has cyan, magenta, yellow, and black in all of the tint gradients so that we can really get the numerical value to tell us, you know, where does our toner, you know, stop working with the adhesive. And that's the key thing. I mean, the toner is there, but it doesn't work with the adhesive if there's not enough to it. Another thing is, in this particular case, we made a mistake with it. We filled this page up so much that there's no room for me to grab it. And so you see right here, bingo. So you got a plan for your artwork. You know, you want to make sure, you know, you give yourself some room where you can actually, you know, grab something and peel it. Because this was, you know, just too much stuff on that sheet for what it was. But for what we're looking for, you know, we want to see just what these results are in terms of the ability to transfer onto the garment. So again, high pressure, pressing it down for about 30 seconds so that we can really press it in, cool it off. We want to cool it off completely. And then carefully roll it away to shear it away from the garment. And in this case, you know, we're going to have results that just simply aren't going to stick because there's no adhesive behind it. So you can, you know, you can see here, these all, you know, not sticking at all. And here, these, you know, are completely not sticking. And then the same thing in this yellow over here, you know, all of that is completely missing as well. So as we look at this, you know, we'll see the kinds of numbers where you can really tell where those come into play. So this is, you know, that particular image. And, you know, if you look closely at this, you know, all of the 90s are transferring pretty well. The 80s, you know, it's right when you get into this 75, 80% range in the cyan. If we look at the magenta, we've got about the same thing. So the solid colors are doing, and the heavy density colors are doing well. Clearly, these colors are not. We're missing pieces with them. There's not enough toner behind these to really work out. So it's in this 70 to 75% range. And here you can really see it. You know, these don't have toner behind them, so they're not sticking. You know, you've only got 75, 80% is the range that works. And the same for the black, that, you know, we are limited in the density values that we can work with. So what that tells us is that, you know, if we're working with CMYK images, we have a limitation that we have to have at least, you know, about 70, 80% toner to be able to work. How can we fix that? Well, we can fix that by adding in white, because white does the trick in that case. So here, if we take this same design, you know, over here is the one that we've done with the CMYK, but when we add in the white, now we have all of the colors present, because, you know, our tints go all the way through, start to finish, and all of the color is showing up with that. In every color, everything is transferring over to the garment. And that's where the white toner comes into play. And this is one of the things that, you know, people think that the white toner is just for, you know, adding white text or white elements to a design, but that's not the case. I need that white toner to make these colors actually work. I can't get tints of colors without the white toner present. All right, so the next thing is that, you know, people ask us, how does this do in the wash? And how much does it cost to make this happen? And, you know, I really give a shout out. I hope the gentleman that sent me the email just the other day actually made it into the webinar. Love for you to post a chat message or something just to let us know that you're here. But, you know, you sent me the message and you said, you know, how much does it cost? How do we know, you know, what the cost factor is? And, you know, I responded back saying, well, there is tools available for that, but we haven't really been talking about that. So we kind of scuffled really quickly to integrate that into this webinar. And I wanted to tie it in with what we do in terms of the wash test as well, because, you know, we've got these garment designs. So this is, you know, this is the rasterized version of this design. I don't know if you hear that, but this is the solid print of that design. And then we have the same thing with this one. You know, we have the rasterized with the lines running through it and that solid print here. And so what we wanted to do, since these are the garments that we are using in our wash test, is that we want to integrate it in and find out how much did it actually cost to produce these. You know, what's the cost to make this solid design, and what's the cost to make this soft rasterized design? So let's have a look at that. In the RIP, and this is the transfer RIP, there is a feature up in this corner called cost calculation. With that, you can go in and you can load in a cost calculation value. Now, in the case of the iColor printers from Uninet, they actually provide you with a cost calculation export that you can import in to set up for all of these cost figures and cost numbers. So what are we looking at when we put this in? All right. So we have the toner cost, we have the drum cost, we have the fuser and the transfer belt. The numbers that we're interested in is, first of all, the counts. So these are the numbers that the manufacturers of these printers typically will provide. You know, they'll do this many numbers for drums of, for toner cartridges. this many prints for drums, this many prints for the fuser, and this many prints for the transfer belt. When it comes to toner, they also have the percentage of coverage, and most of them will do a 5% values, which means that, you know, if I print a page with 5% coverage, then I can reasonably expect to get this many prints out of a toner cartridge. Then these numbers here are my cost values. So this is how much it costs to buy these consumables. Again, these were imported in from the file that Uninet provides for their iColor 600 printer. You know, you would certainly want to check these and compare them with your printer or your supplier, so that you've got relative costs that may have been updated more or less, you know, since this was created. But once you've imported this, then now you're ready to start working with it. So we load in the design that we've done. This is you know, the sports design, and we put in the amount of white that we're printing, and then we select our print settings. So in this particular case here, the first one, this is printing the full solid image, and this is the report that it creates. Once it's created that report, you have the ability to export that, and you can save that to your local machine, and it'll create this PDF file that you see up here. We go back in, and we can select the settings that we've used for our rasterization, which we also saved. We did that because we wanted to be able to be consistent with these same settings every time we printed one of the garments that we put through the wash test. So this gave us that consistency. We loaded that into the cost calculation. We generated these cost values, and then we export that to a PDF file. So that gives us both of these PDF files, and we'll open those up. Nice thing is that these PDF files actually have all of the settings that we used. So they're all stored as part of the job. So look at that. If I'm going to print a solid print, all right, if I'm printing a solid design, it's $1.61 in consumables cost. But look what we've got, 400% less if I do the rasterization. So in and of itself, I mean, that shows you how quickly the RIP pays for itself, just in the fact that, you know, it's saving you this much in production cost by being able to do the rasterization. And one more thing I'll add before we go away from this is that this value isn't totally relevant, because this is using the RIP with only 150% white coverage. So if I were printing that same job to the RIP to the printer without using the RIP at all, my cost is going to be considerably higher than this, because the standard driver puts a complete coverage of white entirely behind the design. This is considerably less white than what the standard driver puts down. So this gives you an idea of how to use the tools. So, you know, I've got a tool available to me that's going to let me calculate what my cost is. I've got a tool that lets me save this as a report, so I can incorporate that into my costing for profitability reports later on. And it saves all of the settings that I've used when I did this job. So it's a valuable thing to have and to use. So now we want to get into, you know, how does this last? How does it do when I actually put this into the washing machine? So we have so many people that have made so many different comments about, you know, what happens with these in the washing machine. And we really wanted to find out, you know, what's the truth of it. So I took, you know, we made these 4 shirts. One of them is the control shirt that we didn't go near the washer with. The other 3 I brought home to my home washing machine. That's me. the first set of shirts, we did according to the manufacturer's instructions. So we turned them inside out. We put it on the delicate wash cycle, which is cool water, you know, a short spin cycle at the end. My little buddy enjoyed me hanging out at home doing the wash. And then we hung it out to dry. You know, those flowers are gone now. We got snow. Then the next set, this is what people typically do. So a normal wash. So this is warm water wash, print side out. We put these in without turning them up inside out, print side out. And then they come out of the washing machine and they go right into the dryer. We're running them on the casual dry setting, which is a medium heat for a medium period of time. And my buddy still. Then the last set, this is your really worst case. So here we've got the cotton setting, which is hot water. This is steaming hot water. Here's our spin cycle, and this is where we really see the damage occurring, because without rasterization in the image, that spin cycle builds up so much pressure that the water just literally forces its way through the design, and this creates these rivers of cracks that appear throughout the design. The toner stays, but those rivers of cracks appear. If you rasterize the image, the water can flow through the shirt without causing any damage. It makes an incredible difference in the final results. So with those three settings, you know, light wash, and this went into a high heat. So this was full on heat, full time in the dryer. So the full cycle in the dryer. We did this over and over and over again. After about every 5 washes, we also ironed it. And this is a manufacturer's recommendation. You know, take a baking sheet, a parchment sheet, something like that, hot iron, and iron these every so often, because that kind of reheals the design. So we did this over and over and over again. That particular set was up to 10. We are actually beyond that point now. We're all the way up to 15. So let's take a look at that. So we've got the control. This is so the control here, this is the one that hasn't been anywhere near the washing machine. And this is the light garment after 15 washes. So we've gone through 15 cycles with this. So look at this. If you follow the manufacturer's instructions, I mean, there's no difference between the two of these. So following the manufacturer's instructions, you're good to go. So let's see what happens. Normal wash, hey, that still looks good. I mean, I'm really not seeing any significant deterioration there at all. Even under the heavy wash, as long as I'm doing this rasterization, I've got nice results with that. I mean, that's still a perfectly usable design. This is the unrasterized. Remember, this is the Buck 61 consumables print here. And again, if you follow the manufacturer's instructions, you're gonna get fine results. 15 washes, manufacturer's instructions, I mean, that still looks good to me. But when we start getting into, you know, the normal wash cycle, you know, there's some cracking with this, but again, if we follow the instructions at least a little bit, iron it occasionally, and put it onto, these are all done on the Fruit of the Loom HD shirts, which we found give excellent durability results as well. But here's really where you start to see it. And if you look up into the corners in that black area, you'll see those rivers of cracks that are starting to form there. And then of course you see the apparent cracks in the white, where this spin cycle water is really flowing through the design. This is one that's got, you know, light coverage. That one had heavy dark coverage. This one has heavy light coverage. But again, you know, if I'm following the manufacturer's recommendations, we're totally good to go. A normal wash, we're good to go with this. This is great, all right? Even in a heavy wash, you know, this is, I mean, if I took this shirt, put it into hot water and a hot dryer 15 times, I don't know who you are, but I wouldn't expect anything better than this in the final results. Here's the full print without any rasterization. Again, light wash does great. You start to see in the medium, you know, some damage occurring. Again, it's not too awful bad. You know, it's just in this heavy wash with the hot water and that spin cycle without any rasterization is where you really start to, you know, to see things breaking up and damaging from that. Now, we did the same thing with the FlexSoft product. So we run these through 15 wash cycles, and one of the things that, you know, that I would really point out to you here is the metallics. So these first set of images are the metallic colors. This is our silver color, and I mean, these are crazy durable. This bronze, look at this. I mean, even the heavy wash, you know, that's as good as it can be. I mean, look at that. These are virtually permanent designs. I mean, the application of these metallics is just crazy durable. And, you know, I've got garments that we've done, that I've had for years now, that have these metallics on there, and they're as good today as they were, you know, the first day. So the metallics are, you know, they'll stand up to anything. The colors are where we start to see something, and only in a few cases. So this blue, again, this is the heavy wash. So this is hot water, hot dry, and, you know, they look good. The blue was good. This green is good. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that. The black, again, that's fine. White, you know, we'll start to see. So in the medium, we're good. In the heavy, you know, there's a little bit of cracking that becomes, you know, apparent on the white. The yellow is the one that we saw the most with, all right? So after a light wash, we're fine. A medium wash, we start to see some degradation of the color, you know, in the center areas, you can see that. And in the heavy wash, we can see that there's a pretty significant loss of color. So the yellow was one that, you know, if you're going to, you know, have a customer, you need to have the customer understand that with the FlexSoft yellow, they need to follow manufacturer washing instructions. And that's pretty much the case with this red as well. You know, light, medium is fine. It's just when you get into the heavy, does that red start losing some of its color. Then we get into some of these neon colors. Again, they do really well as well. So they're, you know, that's good. This is, I mean, this is excellent. I mean, I'm real happy with that result. So this gives you, you know, the ability to really understand how these material hold up in wash, what your costs are, and everything with that. So checking in with our guys at Sign Outlet. Are you there?
David, how's it going? You're doing well.
Hey, great. So, you know, I know you guys made up a special offer for us. We also, I hope, have some questions that people are starting to post. I wanted to kind of break in at this point. I know we're sort of running towards the end of our allotted period. Let me start by this. This is a special offer that the folks at Sign Warehouse, at Sign Outlet. You know, so here's the reason I made that mistake is because what's this? All right. Wait a minute. No, here we go. We got Weedless. Yeah, that's what we want to see. Weedless. So let's go to the vinyl place and ask them for some Weedless 18.
There you go. You know,
That's
that the
what
heat
we're all
transfer
about
industry is
here.
changing.
Huh?
The heat transfer industry is changing. We got all the weedless stuff nowadays for sure.
I mean, you know, you just never even thought weedless was going to be an option,
Right.
and it is now. And I tell you, a 10% discount off of this media, that's a really nice offer. Appreciate you guys passing that along to our viewers out there. And we certainly, you know, want to see them come in and take advantage of it. So the laser dark, the laser light, the flex off, the foils, all of those qualify for this 10% off.
Yep.
So that's a tremendous offer. So where are we with questions? Any questions out there that we can start addressing?
Yeah, actually, a couple of people have mentioned some specific printers, and while we're not going to get into the details of specific printers, what should people be looking for in a printer that they would buy for these sorts of products?
Well, actually, we can get into some specific details about printers because, you know, there are some characteristics of printers that we've experienced in the work that we've done over the years, and we're happy to pass along. You know, for example, one of the things that a lot of people will do is that they want to get into this and they want to get into it kind of inexpensively. You know, I'd like to take advantage of this weedless opportunity, get some of this flex soft material and be able to create some weedless designs, quit doing all of that cutting and weeding the vinyl. You know, I'd like to be able to stop, you know, customers come in and say, how much is a shirt? And you say, well, let me look at your artwork. You know, I'd like to be able to say, you know, customer says, how much is a shirt? Well, here's how much it is. Let me look at your artwork. And then I can decide, you know, am I going to take a complex design and run it through the weedless option, or am I going to do it in vinyl? All right. So anyway, with that said, the inexpensive printers that people start off with are typically manufactured by two major manufacturers. There's Samsung and Canon. All right. So if I go buy an HP black toner printer, I'm getting a Canon engine. If I buy a Canon black toner printer, I'm getting a Canon engine. If I buy a Brother black toner printer, I'm getting a Samsung engine. So these are, you know, the two main engines. And you just sort of want to be aware of some of the issues with them. And that is that, you know, we have found that these Samsung engines have a little bit more of a problem feeding this heavier paper or these transparency papers through their printers. Once they get through, once the toner gets applied, they're good to go. The main issue is just feeding them through. And you know, you're looking at printers that are typically around $100, and we've had such tremendous success with the little Canon printers that we really like to say, you know, that's probably the engine that you want to go with.
Right, right.
From there, you know, if you move up, so that's the 8.5 width printers. From there, if you want to move up into a full tabloid size printer, well, HP has a tabloid size black toner printer, but typically we find that those printers are over $1,000 just because of the size. And so when you get into that range, you know, we really think that it's time to invest in a full CMYK printer, or even better, a CMY white printer. And so we sort of recommend the Oki engines because we've had such incredible success with the, you know, the printers that are based on that Oki engine, which include the Uninet iColor 600, the Uninet iColor 500, and the standard Oki 831, 8432, and the 711. Oh, have we lost our sound up there?
Try one more time. Here we go. So is there a big difference between the Oki printer and the Uninet iColor 600 printer?
Oh, there is. Yeah, good question. Um, so, in the sense that they are both white toner printers, they have their similarities. They have the ability to do uh, 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 a wide variety of transfer type designs. The differences, though, between them are that the Oki printer comes with a standard white toner. The Uninet printers come with a fluorescent white. So what does that mean? Well, I think I showed earlier in this that we did this nice pink shirt that had the neon toner, the neon flex soft design on it that would glow under a black light. And with the standard Oki printer, that white doesn't glow. It just dies under a black light. But with the Uninet printer, your white glows. It glows. So, for a lot of fluorescent purposes, it's a great one to use just because of that. Second thing is that the Oki printers come in a fixed configuration. So your colors are in the front and the white toner is the last position in the printer. So when we're feeding the paper through or the media through, it's putting that white down last and putting the white on top of the colors. And for transfer printing, that's fine because I'm always going to flip that over, which is now going to have the white on the bottom so that I have the color showing up because it has the white backing to it. But there are a lot of cases that you might like to use these printers to print things that you would need the white underneath with a right reading print. So for example, let's take into consideration I'm doing, some wedding invitations or something like that on a colored stock, and I want to print it with a photograph type of an image. So when I do that, I want that white toner to be underneath that photograph. And so I need to take that white toner and put it in the front instead of in the back. I can't do that with the Oki printers, but I can do that with the iColor, the Uninet printers, the 500, the 550, and the 600. Then to me, the biggest difference is that the Oki printers don't sell with the RIP, and the RIP is like $600, and the iColor printers come with the RIP. So for about the same price, you get that $600 extra option with the iColor printers. And then lastly, when you buy an iColor printer, you actually get 5 toner cartridges. So in addition to the cyan, magenta, yellow, and the white, you also get the black cartridge. And that's about $100 option, and you actually have the ability to put it in. I mean, in the CMYK examples that we've shown here, we took our iColor 600, we took the white out, and we put the black in to print all of those samples. If I'm doing, if I want to use this to print the most important thing of all, my invoice, I just simply put that black toner in there, and then I can print the design with that.
Hey, David, we have just a follow-up question with regards to the Uninet printer versus the Oki printer. The Uninet printer, the price of that includes the cost of the RIP. And it was in the RIP that allowed us to do that cost analysis breakdown.
It is.
And so that's a big benefit that RIP is included in the price. And with the Oki, we'd have to pay additional.
Yeah. See, in the marketplace, there's a lot of confusion about it. And one of the things, I know that there are a lot of people here from the White Toner Success group on Facebook. A shout out to all my buddies over there. If you're thinking about, getting into this industry, if you're in this industry, if you're even considering it, I really highly recommend that you search up White Toner Success on your Facebook account and join the group. We're getting up to about 2,000 members now, and it's a tremendous group. A lot of people having a lot of success, making a lot of money with this technology. and in that group you can see examples of it. People in the group are anxious to share their experiences and their help and to guide people and help people get started with this. And the inspiration, you know, of the White Toner Success Group on Facebook is just enough itself so that you can see that you can make money with this technology. And what's happening out there is that a lot of people have a confusion, you know, do I need a rip or do I not need a rip? And, you know, if you're buying a printer that doesn't include the rip, you have the idea in the mind that you don't need the rip. But if you're going to use this in a business fashion, if you're going to try and have financial success with this product, you're going to have the rip. I mean, there's really no option beyond that. You know, you need to be able to control the amount of white because of the quality of color, the durability, and the control of the cost. You're going to need the rasterization so that you can give customers a soft feel, something that's going to last in the wash and control the cost. You're going to need the ability to keep your jobs in a place where you can easily get to it and reprint them so that customers come in, they can quickly reorder. I mean, the feature list that you get from the RIP, it just goes on and on and on, and it's really hard to be successful in this market without it.
Hey, David, another
Yes, sir.
question. When you were doing the example of yourself with the beard and you were showing how you were erasing the background,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you had mentioned that there was a website that you went to get a tool.
Yes, there is. It's the
What was that website, and did you use that tool? Was that something that was used with Photoshop, or was that a separate tool by itself?
yeah, okay. So actually, Forever has two of these websites. There's White Toner Success. I'm sorry. WhiteTonerTransfer.com. WhiteTonerTransfer.com and BlackTonerTransfer.com are the two websites. And both of those websites have some really nice tools and designs and things like that that are available to you. On the Black Toner Transfer site, there is this action script that is available for Photoshop. So you can download this action script. There's no charge. It's absolutely free. You can load it into Photoshop, and you can use it with the color photo that, you know, like you saw earlier, to create these rasterized designs that you can use with any, you know, any laser printer and apply this to your garment. And this, you know, there's really nothing else out there that's like that that gives you that capability. On the White Toner Transfer site, you also have the ability to download textures that you can apply in Photoshop. These textures are actually available for Corel, Illustrator, and Photoshop that you can use to apply a vintage, you know, distressed look to your designs. And again, there's no charge for it. I recommend that you go and pull those down.
And then, David, not to get into too many details about brands of heat presses, but would you say that you recommend a swing arm heat press over a clamshell heat press?
Yeah. So, you know, a heat press, you know, we get a lot of questions about which heat press should we use or not. And, you know, generally speaking, you know, a typical heat press is going to last you for many years. And there's really not a whole lot to be gained by going for a low-cost heat press when, you know, there's so much more to be gained by getting a quality item. You know, some of the recommendations that we have for heat presses, one is size. All right, and I really like to recommend size because we've got a new piece of software. We're going to be doing some more webinars upcoming for the Smart Cut software that lets you take really big images like this, for example. Wow, look at that. Is that crazy or what? And print these on small printers, all right? So something that's just entirely larger than any printer can do. And with that Smart Cut software, you can split your design into smaller pieces, print them out on individual pages, and then reassemble those on the heat press. But, you know, I'd hate to try and reassemble something that big on a little bitty heat press. So go for a 16 by 20, you know, if you can. Second thing is that the swing away presses are way better, in our opinion, than the clamshells are. You can make either one of them work. It's just that when you get into production with this product, there are some aspects of it that, you know, that a swing away really helps with. And one is the application of the heat. You know, the swing away sits over the top of the lower platen. That keeps that lower platen hot all the time, so that when I swing that away, I put my AB sheets down, I swing it over and press it. Everything is hot. It heats up quicker. It stays hot during the entire time that I'm peeling my job, and I don't have to worry about it cooling down and not working the way I want it to. Also, I don't have that clamshell heat press waiting to burn my knuckles with, you know, so, and I have more consistent heat. I mean, more consistent pressure. You know, a clamshell goes down, I've got more pressure in the back, less pressure in the front, whereas a swing arm goes straight down, I've got consistent pressure all the way across.
And hey, David, can you kind of reiterate why it's important to have that white backing when you're doing gradations and non-solid colors and things like that?
Yeah, so, you know, that was one of the things that we really wanted to try and get across with the portion of the webinar about CMYK printers. You know, first of all, it's important to understand that, you know, if you've got a CMYK printer and you'd like to get started in this industry and take advantage of that, you can. You just need to understand the limitations that, you know, I should work with solid colors. I should work with, you know, vector type of artwork, because if I've got transparency, if I've got tints, if I've got gradients or photo type designs, then those are not going to work the way that I would like for them to, because of the fact that, you know, like we showed, I need at least 80–85% toner density to be able to even attach the adhesive to it. And if I don't attach the adhesive to it, when I put that onto the garment color is going to show through the color, so I'm not going to get my color that I want. And when I put it in the washing machine, it's going to come right off. So I'm not going to get the kind of results that I need. So if I operate in the mode where I'm thinking that, you know, I've got vector artwork, I've got no transparency, no tints, no photos, just solid designs, much like you would do with vinyl. I mean, you couldn't do tints of color with vinyl. So if you do solid designs, if you're thinking in the mode of, you know, of being able to print a color like I would use with vinyl as solid colors and put that onto dark garments, then I can do that. But if I want tints, you know, if I want to be able to have, you know, a tint of color, if I want to be able to have a gradient, if I want to have a photo in my design, or if I want white text, if I want white elements in the design, I've got to have the white toner. I mean, that's the only way that I can do that. You know, it's not just the white text, it's not just the white outline, the white shape, it's those tints of colors. If I don't have the white behind those tints, they either won't transfer, or if they do transfer, they're not going to stay on the garment and they're not going to show up in the color, because there's simply not enough toner to pick up that bright white adhesive that's going to back everything up and give us the bright colors on the dark garments.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for going back into that.
Yeah, sure. Any other question?
Another question, or one of our last questions, about Can you talk about obviously with the laser printing, we can do a lot more intricate detail, which has a perception of a higher quality or a higher value. So in your experience, do you know people that are charging like, 20% more, 30% more for these kind of designs that are used with laser print versus the old traditional way where I got to sit there and spend an hour weeding, just to make 25 shirts?
Yeah,
And
so
single color.
we are all about high value garments. I mean, we are absolutely all about high value garments, and that's what that's what we're really going for with this. And you take into consideration not only the fine detail that you talk about, but the ability to do a wide variety of types of decorating. I can print on my design here. Let me give you a case in point. All right. So here's a piece that we did. This is a leather folder kind of thing, and we put this nice metallic gold with this white and the color, and filled in the eagle. I mean, it's really impressive looking, and it's just an awesome piece. This is the kind of thing that creates high value to your customers. And so in order to do that, you really need the ability to layer colors. You need the ability to, apply multiple components together, and the ability to support these really fine detail. And if I were trying to use, for example, let's take sublimation. I mean, I can't print any really fine lines in sublimation. You just simply can't do it. It spreads out when I'm pressing it onto the garment, and I lose that fine detail. With this, we've got clear, fine detail all the way through. We have, all of the makings that we need to have a high value garment. So we're targeting not the $8, $9, $10 shirts. We're targeting the $20, $25, and $30 shirts with some of these designs. And it takes just as much time to do either one of them. Let's do the ones that make us the most money.
Right, agreed. Let's see.
Any other questions?
Would you rasterize a image, a vector-based image? Would you rasterize it for the holes if you were doing a foil project?
Oh, okay. All right. Great question. So you can. All right. So that's kind of an interesting question. And I'll give you, if I had a moment to go search through my rack of shirts over there, I actually have a really cool looking design. So what we did was it was this World of Warlords, one of these games, and it was their logo. And the logo was, had this kind of a gold component to it with color. And so we printed that gold component fully rasterized. It was a halftone kind of image. We put that down onto the garment. We printed it black. So when we're working with these hot stamping foils, we printed it black. We pressed it onto the shirt. We took our foil and put down and pressed that, let it cool off, peeled that away, brushed off any remaining little speckles that are around the edges on that. Then we come back with the color, and since it's a transparent media, we're able to line it up just the way that we do with the Smart Cut software, so that we line up two prints so that they match together and seam together. We positioned that color, and we pressed it down on top of that half-toned gold foil that was underneath it. The results are incredible. It's a high-value garment. I mean, that's the whole idea about being able to make a garment that you can sell for much more money. Another example of that is one that we did with the Chicago Blackhawks. So we took the Indian head Chicago Blackhawks logo. We printed the hair part, applied that with a black flock, So that's a velvet type of material. We put that down. The inside of the feathers, this piece that runs around the head, we put that down, and we did it with gold foil. And then lastly, we came down with the color to fill in the face, the white markings and everything on the face. It's an incredible looking garment. I was making those at a trade show. Man, people were stealing them so fast. It was unbelievable. But I mean, now you're talking 35, 40, 45 bucks for a garment. And, you know, and you've got something that, you know, you just won't find anywhere else. I've never seen anything like that from any other vendors. Any other questions? Oh, okay. I thought I saw your lips moving and no sound coming out.
So I do have a question going back to the cost calculator within the RIP. Does it allow me to say that I'm using an 8.5 by 11 sheet and my graphic is going to occupy, I'm able to fit 6 or 8 pieces on that sheet, or if I'm using an 11 by 17 sheet and it would allow me to fit 12 pieces on there, was the software allowed to break down and tell me what my cost per piece would be using those different size sheets?
So, I mean, the cost calculator kicks in right at the point where we're ready to print the design. So it's, you know, it's considering everything that is actually on the page, and that's how it calculates the cost. I mean, hence, you know, it said that, you know, if I rasterize this design, pull the dark colors out, pull out with the half toning, you know, the rasterization, then I've lowered my toner usage, and hence I've got a lower cost for that print sheet. Now, does it know what's on the page? It doesn't, so it's no way of knowing that. You can put in the number of copies. So if I'm going to print, you know, 15 of these to go onto a garment, then it'll you put in 15, and it'll give you the cost for all 15 of those. You'll have the cost per sheet and the cost for all 15 of them. Now, if I wanted to further break that down, you know, I would just simply take the cost per sheet. If I had 6 on a page, I'd divide that by 6, and there's my number.
Right.
That sounds great. I think we're out of questions, and
Yeah, unless anybody has any other quick things to pop up in here in chat, you know, thank you guys very much for this presentation. It's gone very well.
So, colorcraftvinyl.com. We got Weedless 18, 10% off. Don't forget that. That's a great deal, guys. I really appreciate your offering that, and look forward to working with you. Again, if you're out there, have a look at the White Toner Success Group on Facebook. I hang out there quite a bit. Would love to see you there, and look forward to doing more of these in the future. So,
Thank you guys very much.
hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.